Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. I'm so excited today to return to Vernon Howard. We've covered Vernon Howard in 2 episodes so far, the first being Vernon Howard, Your Dynamic Power, and another on how to feel great every minute. Vernon Howard was an amazing writer, sort of post-New Thought. He drew from a common thread among several different philosophical and spiritual traditions for his insights and teachings, and they included Christian and Eastern mysticism, Gurdjieff, the Gospels of the New Testament, Jungian psychology, Krishnamurti, and American Transcendentalism. He taught that there's a way out of suffering and advocated self-honesty, persistence. Today, we're going to cover what he says about prosperity. I want to gather what all the authors say about prosperity. I'm super fascinated by what authors say about creating prosperity, finding wealth, because I believe within those teachings are some of the most powerful nuggets of wisdom. And sometimes I find something new in some of these. Today we're going to talk about how your mind attracts prosperity from a chapter in the book, The Secrets of Mental Magic, how to use your full power of mind. The idea is when you choose to seek out prosperity, the mind has a certain way of attracting it, and he documents this over several cases. It's a fairly short chapter, but I found it to be very good. How Your Mind Attracts Prosperity by Vernon Howard. One day, a mining prospector named Edward Doheny was walking down a street in Los Angeles. Doheny had an inquiring mind and alert eyesight. That's why he gazed curiously at a passing wagon carrying a load of sticky tar. Doheny knew that tar was formed when underground oil seeped to the surface and thickened. His eyesight turned to insight. If there was tar, there was oil. If there was oil, there was wealth. If there was wealth, there was opportunity. Doheny called out to the driver, asking where the tar had been found. He was told that it had been scooped up from the nearby Brea tar pits. Doheny investigated the sticky area, then called in a partner and went to work. It wasn't long before he had dug straight into a gigantic pool of oil. It eventually yielded more than 70 million barrels. That was just the start of a fabulous oil empire. Edward Doheny's magnificent glimpse led him to a financial fortune. And so can anyone by using the secrets of mental magic. Glimpse a far superior financial future. The purpose of this chapter is to give you those secrets. Money-making principles. What do you suppose is the greatest single factor that determines a man's financial level? By all tests, it is his mental personality. This mental state is made up of judgment, alertness, decisiveness, a sense of daring, and other characteristics. Every money-making act springs from the total makeup of his mind, and each act will be as valuable as the creative thinking behind it. A man's money-making talents are not something apart from his general mental makeup. A lamp brightens everything in a room to the degree of its own brightness. So does a man's mental power illuminate every area of his life, including his finances. To make more money, make more of your mind. Maybe that is such a simple rule that it is often overlooked. If you feel that you have been overlooking this natural principle, you need do but one thing. Take advantage of it from now on. Take 2 men, both desiring to increase their incomes. The one who enthusiastically throws the secrets of mental magic into action will not wait long for new prosperities. Natural principles cannot fail. In one way or another, often in a delightfully surprising way, something special arrives. But the man who neglects the secrets of mental magic will do things the hard way, not realizing how much he is missing. A natural principle cannot serve a man who won't permit it to work for him any more than we can satisfy hunger by refusing to eat. A method for expansion. Let's examine, for example, the principle of mutuality. It is the basis for every satisfactory financial transaction in the history of mankind. The more ways you can find to bring mutuality into your business, the more business you will have. What is it? Mutuality is the blending of your commercial values with the values of other people. It is an exchange of goods of one sort or another. It is an overlapping of interests for mutual enrichment. A merchant sells a product and earns a profit. An inventor creates a new machine and collects royalties. An actor supplies entertainment and receives his paycheck. Simple? Of course. Practiced only to a limited degree by many people. Lack of clear thinking toward this principle often creates a barrier. We will take up this problem in later pages. If you feel that this might be a barrier to you, start breaking through right now by asking yourself the stimulating question, how can I expand the principle of mutuality? I'm thinking of a boulevard merchant who uplifted his business 15% by using this idea. He gives his customers more than the usual pleasantness, extra attractive window displays, and so on. They in return make it mutual. They give him more business than they give to his competitors. Actually, there are hundreds of ways to bring more mutuality into your business. An alert mind can find and apply them. When natural principles mix with personal power, things happen. So let's next examine this idea. The curious power. As a good example, take the mental force we call curiosity. A man could select this power alone and let it guide him to the greatest achievements. I personally believe it to be one of the most neglected of our mental powers. There is a constant urge in the human mind to know more, to explore beyond its present borders, to seek answers. When curiosity is used constructively, it leads to right answers. When joined with sincere intentions, it becomes an overwhelming force in your favor. An Arizona clergyman once printed a list of 300 sins. He was swamped with requests for it, no doubt from people who wanted to make sure they hadn't missed anything. But curiosity can be channeled a bit more constructively. What you should do is to connect it with your financial goals. See how many ways you can find to win them, how efficiently you can operate, how many new techniques you can use, and so on. A manufacturer in Kansas City makes profitable progress by continually searching out the weakest link in his chain of operations. Simply by isolating this area, he sees clearly what must be done to strengthen it. You can do likewise, whatever your business may be. Get curious over the single weakest point in your financial affairs. Isolate it. Concentrate your entire attention and effort into making it a strong point. Then take the new weakest point and do likewise. Your entire level of efficiency will rise rapidly. Curiosity is just one of the dozens of mental forces that produce money. You can select and employ many others with equally profitable results. For example, knowledge, flexibility, self-confidence, persistence, experimentation. How amazing is the human mind? It can be wonderfully receptive to everything that is good for us. Just as each drop of rain raises the level of the entire lake, so does a single truth uplift the level of your inner self. That is why everything you have read so far in this book helps you in your financial affairs. A clear mind and a cheery mind and a calm mind all play their enriching role in your daily business. Find the secret code. During World War I, the German government had a spy ring at work in Mexico. The secret agents were sending their messages back to Berlin in a new and baffling code. It was the task of the American experts to break the code and read the messages. After some skillful deductions, the U.S. agents concluded that the Germans were basing their code on the words in a certain dictionary. They made an intense search for that particular book. It was finally located in front of their eyes on a shelf in the Library of Congress. That dictionary provided the United States with valuable military information. Let that story remind you that financial secrets are not really secrets at all. Not to the man who finds the right code book. We have seen in other chapters that all truths about the mind are really very simple. It is our wrong use of the mind that complicates things. Perhaps you ask, as did One man, "Can you suggest a simple and practical code breaker that I can use in my business tomorrow morning?" Answer: discover ways to dig more gold from a certain phase of your business. In other words, make more of it. Even if you think you have already exhausted its value, give it a fresh, close look. Start by selecting any department of your business that you like, such as your advertising, purchasing, your personality, anything at all. Now think alertly toward it. Just as you might wander around a meadow with a relaxed alertness, wander around that area. Examine it carefully. Look for hidden elements. Finally, let your receptive mind come up with ways, even little ways, to make it even richer. Make more of it. I have suggested this simple business truth to thousands of businessmen. I cannot think of a single one who didn't report benefits of some kind or other. It sometimes came in a saving of time and energy, maybe in a method for keeping customers satisfied, perhaps in reduction of costs. A candy salesman told me of his rich find like this: "I remember at your lecture how you emphasized those 4 words, 'make more of it.' My first thought was that I already was doing everything I could, but I started thinking it over. Then an old and established account was turned over to me for service. For a few weeks I took care of it in the usual way, with the usual fair results. Then, one afternoon after getting the usual order, something flashed through my mind. It was those 4 words, 'make more of it.' Well, I did just that. I turned around and asked the manager to increase his usual order by $50. He shrugged and nodded. That was all there was to it. From that day on, I've inspired myself with those 4 magic words. What can you do in your own business? The same. Make more of it. 2 valuable actions. A businessman goes through his day with 2 different kinds of action. 1, mechanical action, and 2, personality action. Let's define these terms, starting with mechanical action. Suppose you are in sales work of some kind. A mechanical technique would be to let the prospective customer handle the product with his own hands. This is a mechanical or physical technique which plays its part in the sale. The customer's physical contact with the product establishes a personal relationship with it. He now feels in a way that the product is his. He wants to keep it. He doesn't want to give it back. One automobile salesman specializes in the feeling technique. He asks the woman to run a palm along the smooth upholstery. He invites the men to feel the tough rubber tires. That is an example of a mechanical action in business. It is easy to remember and apply. It has a certain value in sales work. But if mechanical action is worth money, personality action is worth a lot of money. Your business personality. A personality action is one that springs from inner character, from the mental self. It is concerned with what a man is, not with what he does. Take our automobile salesman again. His pleasant and helpful manners are far richer qualities than his mechanical techniques. When customers come into an automobile showroom, they may have little knowledge about the car they want to buy. They may feel helpless, worried that they won't get their money's worth. So they want to be assured that they are in good hands. If the salesman's personality supplies that assurance, they will want to do business with him. In the business world, as in anywhere else, the greatest success factor is the mental personality of the man. It is the greatest attraction on earth. Observe the author of Every Man a King. Success is not dependent solely on our earnest affirmation, on our self-confidence, but also on the confidence of others in us. But this confidence is largely a reflection of our own, the effect of our own personality on them. Our own attitude of mind is therefore the means to produce this confidence in others. Your earnest affirmation is contagious. It affects everyone with whom you come in contact, especially those whom you must master, whether as a teacher, as an orator, as an attorney, as salesman, as merchant, as possible employee, or in some other way. There is something that seems almost magical in the way a confident air influences other people. If you adopt or acquire it, you will be surprised to see how soon it will radiate to others, increasing their confidence in your ability. The story of Brown Bear. A practical-minded business executive and a nursery tale about a brown bear. You might think that is a strange combination, but it's even stranger than that. The executive told that nursery tale before an audience of several hundred businessmen. It went like this. Once upon a time, Brown Bear was ambling through the woods when he suddenly felt hungry. He looked around for some lunch. He searched down this way and up that way, but saw nothing good to eat. Then Brown Bear smiled. He saw 2 lunches. One of them was a cluster of luscious-looking berries at the top of a low bush. The other was a cluster of luscious-looking berries at the top of a tall bush. Brown Bear cheerfully went after the berries on the low bush. He strained and struggled and moaned and groaned, but the berries on the low bush were inches too high above his head. So because he was hungry, he did something else. He stretched up on his big brown legs and ate the berries on the top of the tall bush. That story was, of course, an unusual way of presenting several valuable ideas to the audience. Foremost among them was this powerful point. Whenever you are blocked at a certain level, free yourself by reaching for a higher one. This is so exciting, a plan that many men don't stop to think of it. But why not? In other words, whenever you run into a business blockage of any kind, free your mind to think of something above that blocking level. Bypass it in favor of a superior plan of action. Don't battle it with a lower level, but like Brown Bear, stretch above it. Act up. Let's see how a man named Lawrence Frank freed himself upward. Frank and his partner Walter Van de Kamp of Van de Kamp's Holland Dutch Bakeries had a restaurant called Lowry's, the prime rib. This Beverly Hills restaurant had a unique feature, the simplest menu in town. When the waitress passed the menu to a diner, it could be read in seconds. It offered just 4 items, prime rib, salad, a vegetable and potatoes, baked or mashed. But Mr. Frank and Mr. Van de Kamp ran into a puzzle. By mutual agreement, it was their most pressing problem. They needed a seasoning, one capable of bringing out the best in their entree and salad. They looked around, gathered available samples, tasted and tested. None were quite right. All lacked the exact flavor and zest. We need a special seasoning, they concluded, but can't find one. So what do we do? At this point, Lawrence Frank did something. He freed himself upward. Experiments in the kitchen of his own home resulted in a flavorful combination of salts, spices, herbs, called Lowry's Seasoned Salt. It was the first in a new line of exciting consumer products. Lawrence Frank used that blockage at a lower level to create a whole new business. It's known today as Lowry's Foods, Inc. of Los Angeles. Anytime you feel blocked at a certain level, ask yourself the creative question, why not free myself upward? This secret of mental magic supplies surprisingly rich results. It releases the mind from the present level and replaces it with a vision of a much higher state. Experiment with it for yourself. In other words, act up. Your great adventure. Recently, at an art exhibition, I saw a remarkable table made in mosaic design. It was built of thousands of pieces of wood of various colors and shapes. The wood had been collected from dozens of far-away places, including the jungles of Honduras and the mountains of New Zealand. The builder of that table remarked the great adventure was to find the dozens of people who would send me a bit of wood from their country. I have found that the men who make the most money are those who have a similar sense of adventure toward their business. They enjoy the challenge. They have a zest for collecting new customers. They have fun seeing how efficiently they can manufacture and distribute their products. They don't see their business affairs as a monotonous duty, but rather as an opportunity for healthy self-expression. As an executive of an insurance firm told me, there's far too much seriousness in the business world of today. You see worried, grim faces when you should see sunny smiles. I don't mean that you should go to the opposite extreme and become frivolous or careless. There is a third state that springs spontaneously from the man who has found himself. Such a man is light-hearted but not shallow, relaxed but not negligent. That is the kind of man I like to work with, one who enjoys his work because he enjoys himself at work. Anyone can use the secrets of mental magic for finding this kind of state for himself. It is man's natural condition, and where business is a pleasure, And that, interestingly enough, is where you win a greater abundance of the world's material goods. How come? Because a free mind is a creative mind. How to have fun. Dr. Albert Ellis and Dr. Robert A. Harper make this pointed observation. Man can live the most self-fulfilling, creative, and emotionally satisfying life by intelligently organizing and disciplining his thinking. And one way of owning this self-satisfying life is to make your material business your mental pleasure. Rosa Bonheur, the famous French artist, used this principle to win worldwide fame. She decided to specialize in animal paintings. In order to study her subjects, she took enjoyable trips to zoos and farms. She even kept her private zoo, which included lions and deer. All that enthusiasm couldn't fail to create some magnificent paintings. One of them, the gigantic horses threshing corn, shows 10 life-size horses. Her eagerness for her work finally brought her the French Legion of Honor. You can call it enthusiasm or fun or self-satisfaction, but whatever you call it, include it. As children, we used to play an outdoor game that had two groups of players standing on opposite sides of a high wall. A ball was tossed back and forth over the top of the wall. Players on the receiving end never knew just where and when the ball would shoot over. And that is just what made it so much fun. We had a good time just being out there, alertly interested in the challenge and using our natural abilities for making the catch. Business success would be like that. If we are out there playing the game, enjoying ourselves, the ball will always come our way, and by being alert, we can make some interesting catches. But best of all, we will have fun. How the mind creates success. I once had a business conference with several officers of a large corporation in Los Angeles. While talking things over, one of the men told us his own success story. It is one of the most fascinating stories I have ever heard. It perfectly illustrates the power of a mind rightly used. Several years ago, he began, I was out of work. Prospects for finding the position I wanted were dim. The worst part of the situation was my own mental attitude. I was worried, discouraged, loaded with self-doubt. Oh, I made the rounds every day, filling out applications and going for interviews, but without enthusiasm. I realized that my negativity showed, that it hurt my chances, but I didn't know what to do about it. I was mentally in the cellar, and that was that. One evening, after another dejecting round of the town, I felt like getting out of the house. Normally, I would have found some sort of entertainment, but a notice in the paper caught my attention. It told of a lecture on the subject of mind power. I'd read a book or two on the subject, but hadn't gone into it very deeply. Anyway, I went to the lecture. That speaker said something that changed the entire course of my life. He advised that we should act as if we already had what we wanted. On the way home, I started thinking about it. I asked myself, how would I act and feel if I already had a well-paying position? Well, for one thing, I would march up to every interview with full confidence in my abilities. I would act cheery, relaxed, happy. My personality would tell the prospective employer that I was capable and a reliable person. How come I feel so confident? Well, because I already had a good position. I was merely seeking a change. In other words, I wouldn't really care whether he hired me or not. Mental magic. I tried it. For the next 3 days, I assumed the mental state of already having the position I was seeking. I tell you, it produced an amazing change in the way I went after things. I was unafraid, completely relaxed. I actually enjoyed tracking down that work. What a feeling. It wasn't long before I had 3 job offers, every one of them just right for me. You can call it a mental trick if you want, but it worked. I like to think of it as mental magic. Mental magic? Of course, and based on established principles of thought, which he may not have realized. Both Eastern and Western religions have long taught this ability of the mind to go beyond itself. Only they might have called it faith. Modern psychology would analyze the principle to come up with this conclusion. He set aside his negative conditioning long enough to let his natural self-confidence break through. But whatever you call it, it works. You can apply it to your various situations. When you assume the state of mind of already having that which you seek, here's what happens. It changes your attitudes, which cause you to act in a way that delivers desired results. A man always does the best he assumes he can do. But what he assumes he can do is always less than what he can do. By removing those self-limiting assumptions by the above system, he finds himself both thinking and doing what he previously considered to be beyond him. Your purpose is money. The story goes about the Frenchman who taught a collie to talk. Realizing the immense value of a talking dog, he brought it to the office of a television producer. "Here's the most amazing animal the world has ever known," the Frenchman enthused. "I have taught him to recite some French love poems. Listen. You will hear the marvel of the ages." The producer listened with astonishment as the remarkable collie recited one poem after another. As he finished, the Frenchman smiled. "There. You have heard this amazing creature. Now let's talk business." The producer shook his head. "Sorry, but I can't use him. After all, how many people understand French?" That producer was missing the entire point, wasn't he? Because his mind had wobbled off into triviality, he couldn't see the value of that marvelous collie. I bring this up because it will help plug a leak in escaping dollars. It is surprising how many people waste their talents by attending to trivialities instead of the business at hand. The real villain behind these distractions is the inner and personal problems of a man. Like bubbles in a glass, this inner pressure keep popping up to the surface to confuse his purpose. I once attended a sales conference of bakery executives. The discussion kept wandering away from the point, but the man in charge must have had lots of experience with the problem. Every so often, whenever necessary, he would speak out, "Remember, gentlemen, we are here for one purpose only, to sell more cake." That simple reminder was enough to bring the meeting back to efficiency. Watch for this mind wandering whenever you conduct business with other people. Notice how often and how easily the original purpose slips aside. Your watchfulness can help steer it back to the right track. Use your action power. Keeping other people purposeful is only one small part of this valuable idea. What about your own mental meanderings? Here's where we can score some financial hits. Let me give you 3 solid steps for sticking to your financial goals. 1. Know exactly what you want. 2. List all possible ways to get it. 3. Plunge into right action with these ways. Success becomes a certainty to the man who persists with these 3 steps. Little by little, he will see changes, improvements, a gain here and a bright idea there. He may have to revise his thinking or alter his plans, but that is really the whole idea. The abandonment of unworkable actions makes way for right ones. What, by the way, is right action? Many people have benefited from the definition given in Action Power, The Miracle Way to a Successful New Life. In this book, I define right action as anything that contributes practical value to you. In business, the gathering of fresh information is right action. So is the display of a pleasant personality. Working with a definite plan is right action. The last point deserves a few details. One businessman, a general contractor, has a unique idea for self-advancement. It might be called the 10% plan. He explains it like this. Suppose I'm working out some newspaper advertising. I concentrate my mind on making it 10% more effective. For instance, I'll make it 10% larger, or maybe I'll make it 10% easier to understand. It's surprising how quickly the mind comes up with these 10% improvements, and they pay off. You need not expect perfect action of yourself. All you need to do is the best that you can do for now. Adventurous action, which we discussed previously, is an enjoyable aid. You should be like the man who couldn't find the perfect girl but thought it was a lot of fun trying. So let's review a little bit of what Vernon Howard said. And of course, you've heard some of this before, but these lessons are there for a reason. Now, first of all, to make more money, make more of your mind. Its creative forces are the foundation for all financial fortunes. Secondly, he talks about something called mutuality. Expand your use of the principle of mutuality. Mutuality being the blending of your commercial values with other people. When you start to bring that into mind, then you can provide them a service. You can change the way you do service. Third, your personal power of curiosity can be channeled into money-making activities. Curiosity is the absolute best thing. Be curious. Whatever business that you're in, are you curious about what other options are available, what other businesses are doing, what your competition is doing? This curiosity, this desire to know will inevitably bring you to something that will gain prosperity in this curiosity. Let it work for you. Be curious in all things, especially in your business. Fourth, select a definite phase of your business. Make more of it. Fifth, remember the value of a rich personality. The personality is important. He emphasizes this throughout this chapter. Your personality is key, and it will reflect what sort of business that comes back to you. Change your personality. Make it something that people want to be around. Sixth, whenever you feel blocked at any level, free yourself upward. This was one of my favorite lessons in this, and that was the story of the brown bear. But more importantly, if you're struggling with something in your business, oftentimes within the struggle of your business, you can find an absolutely new business. When I had my book business and I was struggling in organizing my business and a certain organization of the books that I had, I was able to develop a software that allowed me to quickly list the books that I had, and it helped me immensely. I was able to add it to my business and sell that software later. So there's always something that you're going through, and if you're getting frustrated, look at what the opportunities that this gives you. Oftentimes there's opportunities in whatever you're doing, and seek upward, just like the brown bear. 7, turn your money-making activities into interesting adventures. Have fun with it. Business has to be fun. You're never going to be prosperous if you're not having fun. You're going to burn out. Make it fun. Make it an adventure. This changes your personality and gives you the energy that you need. 8th was stick to your financial purposes. Let nothing distract you. It's super easy to get caught up in the weeds and get distracted when you're focusing on your business, when you're focusing on your profits. This distraction can hurt you. Stay focused on what your primary goal is and let that guide you. It's always helped me. 9, know that you can always achieve far more in the financial world. There are no limits to the man who employs the secrets of mental magic. A lot of times people have created a sort of ceiling they don't think they can move beyond because they've gotten used to it. It's a habit. It's what they mentally understand. And you need to expand this idea of what is possible for you, because I promise you, you can 10x your business. You can make 10 times more for whatever it is that you're doing. You need to move outside of those boundaries that you have created. And the final thing he talked about was 10, use your action power. Go into right action. Make the right action. You have to take action to find prosperity. Yes, you can make the argument that 99% of it is happening in the mind, but at least one portion of you has to take some action. And whatever you're doing, take right action. And that can be with your personality, it can be with your business, whatever it is, try to take right action. Go back and listen to this. This is a little different than some of those other prosperity gospels. He's giving very specific ideas and examples on how you can be prosperous that can really help you. Add this to the pantheon of the different things we've discussed about prosperity. Check out the playlist, The Prosperity Revolution, on the channel. I have gathered so many amazing teachings, from Think and Grow Rich to How to Attract Money by Joseph Murphy. And let this stuff soak in to your consciousness. I highly recommend on a weekly basis gathering information, reading some of the old texts, reminding yourself of the power of your mind to create prosperity, and read chapters like this. Go out and seek new ones. Constantly be curious and open to new ideas, and constantly remind your subconscious mind that you are powerful and that anything's possible. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. I'm imagining absolute prosperity for everybody that's listening. I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear all of your success stories. And welcome to the Reality Revolution.